Now,
Nintendo did like 3 things.
Nintendo had like 3 conferences. Now,
and technically, one of them was just kind of a quick showing.
Kind of showing of Nintendo Direct. They just kind of talked about the concept. Now, why are we acting so melancholy here when we're talking about it?
Because we expected a lot from Nintendo this year.
When we say Nintendo is the wild card, it's because they always hold something back, and there's always been that one year every few years when they go completely insane
and just announce.
Everyone
thought this was going to be the year 2006, where like when they announced the Wii, they actually showcased a breadth of games.
Yeah,
not only
new concepts,
new games,
new Mario, new Metroid, new Zelda, and all the new franchises and
old revivals
and
explode like that. And then like a stage show and demonstrations.
Even the 3DS. When they showed it off, that you had Kid Icarus, and they showed off Paper Mario content. They had a list of all these third-party games coming out.
This was a disappointment. They literally said, "Here's games coming out this year." Okay, that's it. They didn't talk about anything beyond, and because of that, it was a very limited scope of a conference.
Yeah, I think the thing to consider here,
people buy consoles based on potential, not just on the now.
Yeah, I think that one thing that we have to walk out of this with, and before we even get into the conference itself, is to consider that even in the 2 major conferences, they actually took 3DS and made a separate thing. But I think that Nintendo deliberately made it 2012 because they have this Nintendo Direct now. They've had it for about the last 6 months. Every 2 months, they have a video where they demonstrate all these games coming out in the next 3 months, and then say, "And we have some new stuff for you to show." That's how they announced Mario Tennis. I think it was the fall conference. And they also announced like New Super Mario Bros. 2, which we'll get to in a bit. They announced that as the last conference. They're getting more and more focused on announcements through that venue.
And I think it works.
And I think it works out. So first things first, Pikmin 3.
A nice, cute little intro with a Pikmin in Miimo's pocket. It was a leaf puppet on it. It was cute. It was nice.
Yeah, and they shut off.
And it looked nice.
Yeah,
it definitely looks nice. Some of the textures are a little low res, but that's probably because it was a Wii game originally, and now it's a Wii U game. They announced a new Pikmin type, Rock Pikmin, which can break things like glass.
Well, they didn't announce that there's a pink Pikmin that flies.
Yeah, you can see it in the trailers. And then there was some new enemies. The enemies are huge. And there's now 4 captains as opposed to 2.
Yeah, and Olimar is not one of them, and they said that we won't explain why. Clearly it's plot-based. And I think they're still being secretive about this game. Pikmin 3, Pikmin 3 was essentially just this 2-stage demo.
Yeah, it looked like the level that you played in was like a challenge level, because that's one of the big things I mentioned is challenges and trying to get as much points as possible.
And I'm guessing this is used for the Miiverse, where you get to send off ping. I guess, guys what? I just beat this challenge.
And then they showed a boss fight, which we believe is actually part of a dungeon area.
Yeah, you have 5 minutes. You still have 5 minutes to defeat the boss.
I think that's the
demo.
The demo timeline.
But the gist of it is, we saw new monsters. We saw great depth of field.
Really cool monsters like that.
Great depth of field. Good usage of having to use bridges of individual pieces as opposed to just going.
And also they have and also get supplies you collect too. Yeah. Don't know what those are for yet. And then there was also the fact that this game works 2 different ways.
Yeah.
One, you can use the Wii Remote and nunchuck, and actually point and aim and fire your enemies there. Or the other one we use just use the gamepad. The gamepad, and you can actually see the whole game world there and actually fool around.
Now,
with that.
I heard some people having issues because apparently when you aim, you actually go like this with the pad. You kind of like aim awkwardly with it. I don't know the gist of that, and hopefully they change that. But the fact is, it was made originally to use the Wii controls. So have the Wii gamepad facing you, so you see the map while you're using the controller, and then you can just tap it and do your thing. The game has 4 players.
We don't know if it's 4-player co-op.
I don't think that's the case. When Pikmin 2 didn't even have 2-player co-op. The game had 2-player multiplayer, but that was minimal. And I heard, because the website it says 1 player, there's speculation there's no multiplayer whatsoever.
Okay. Next, after the announcement, we're like, this is really fun. It had a lot of cute little humor. I'm a pro Pikmin and stuff like that.
We didn't do a play. Yeah, we did. Okay, first thing, the media apps came out because he said Reggie came out and said we have a lot of games, so we're going to focus on those games, and we're also going to say that Wii U will use Netflix, Hulu Plus, and yes, YouTube,
which is good,
which is great. But we didn't get any further discussion about that. Nintendo, when it comes to these apps and OS information, they tend to announce them very close to the end of close to proximity to the actual launch, or not at all, and then you find out yourself. It's a surprise. So then they go right into the next element. When they talk about the Miiverse, they talked a lot about the Miiverse.
Which is strange because that's what the Nintendo Direct was about. About the Miiverse.
And they talked about the controller, but not all the way. They didn't talk about the near-field communication.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about the TV button that allows it to be an infrared controller to turn on your TV.
It was like they didn't. They said, okay, let's introduce the controller, and then they didn't talk about that stuff, which I felt was very awkward.
Yeah, I think because they didn't have anything to demonstrate it with.
Whatever.
But the when asked about near-field communication, they've said just to wait a bit and find out. So I'm guessing they still have surprises up their sleeve, just not for E3.
Then they went on to the next game, New Super Mario Bros. U. Now, I really hope, that, based on what I've heard about it, it really should have been called New Super Mario Bros. World, or New Super Mario World.
There's a map. The map is consolidated into one now. The game's element is that the game is in full HD. You can play it on the screen or play it on the TV. It does in fact act as a sequel to Wii, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and so you have 4-player co-op.
And you can play as your Mii.
You can play as your Mii if you want.
If you die enough times, you can actually tell people how you feel about that area via Miiverse.
Yeah, Miiverse is a big element in this game. You can see people's commentary about the game at the certain points and achievements as they get them. The game does have achievements, which is a big factor. And on top of that,
there's some new abilities.
Yeah, raccoon. You got
there's a raccoon that turns you to a flying raccoon, flying squirrel, and then there's also baby Yoshis
with different powers each. So far, we see 3. There's one that glows. There's one that bloats out like a balloon.
One that shoots bubbles.
And one that shoots bubbles.
And so it looks crazy.
It looks crazy.
And one that level looks like Van Gogh. Starry Night. Amazing.
Yeah, great. Much better art style than the original game.
Still, we'll have to see more of it.
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
And considering all the depth and stuff, the top layer needs to be as simple as possible, or else you're going to go insane.
All right. Then we'll go into Batman Arkham City Armored Edition.
Now, word on the streets was that Aliens Colonial Marines was going to be the game at
no here. Sega pulled it at the last second.
Because the game was being delayed to 2013, and to top it off, the game was also not top-notch. The game, I think, is being ported by another developer. But this game is also being developed by, I think, another developer as well.
And it's designed to say, okay, you now have your entire arsenal on the Wii U gamepad, and you can select whatever you want. There's also ability to control
the Batarang.
Batarang. There's also some other features like touching and blowing up walls.
Yeah,
and
the stream actually, while watching, crashed for about 10 seconds, and when it came back, nothing much had changed. If anything, I heard on the words around people who played the game and stuff, this was one of the weakest games, if not the weakest game that was demonstrated at the show, as well as what was played.
And no one really cared because this game already came out.
The game,
yes, it has all the DLC content built in.
Oh, it has a new armor and a new mode that you get to beat people faster.
But still, it's like it's already out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was not really good to emphasize a game that came out already. Nintendo probably should have focused on a game that's coming out soon.
Yes.
Like maybe an Assassin's Creed 3 demo.
Like everyone else had done.
Like everyone else had done at that point.
And then next they announced Scribblenauts Unlimited. It's instead of if you haven't played Scribblenauts, because you write down on the screen an item and it pops on the screen. Yeah. Anything you think of appears on the screen. Mm-hmm. And usually it's level based, but this one is an open world experience.
Yeah, so you get to wander around. You get to see, rather than having level by level puzzles, you walk up to people and you'll see someone says, "My cat's in a tree." So now I got to solve it. Type beaver and you do it. But this game makes it different. Not only do you have the means of creating things by typing in words, but you can create words. Essentially, you create
using parts of other things.
Yeah, an example was that they had a dog and a car and a jet engine, and turned into dog car or something. And so when you type in dog car, that will appear.
So now you can create your own things.
So it's really cool in that aspect. And of course, it takes the aspects of those creatures and combines them.
And you can send it to your friends.
And your friends can see them. They didn't specify too much on what that can do. The game looks beautiful in HD, and it's something really to pay attention to.
And it's coming out for Wii U, 3DS, and PC.
Probably timed exclusive for Wii U in terms of the PC, but I don't know. That looks good. Then we took my body was ready was one of the funny comments they said. By the way, this show, for the record, was the funniest of the 3 major things. They had a lot of a good feel about them, which is good. It's a shame that it didn't really offer much in the way of new
Wii Fit U.
Yeah, the emphasis of Wii Fit U was essentially that you can use motion controls with the Wii U pad.
And use the second screen to see some cool
you can use it as a way to see different things, as well as what you can even hold it in the stand and actually use it without having
so you can actually do your exercise while someone else is watching television. Also, the big thing they're adding is a new Wii Fit device, similar to the PokeWalker. You do your run or jog, or whatever, and it records your walking. It's a pedometer, right?
Yeah, it's a pedometer.
And you use it, and you click it into the Wii gamepad, and it'll like, okay, that's your information, and it'll add to
your calories.
Calories, so the game knows how well you're exercising off the game.
I think it's a good example of building on top of what was Wii Fit Plus. The only issue is that I don't think people are really interested in Wii Fit U.
People aren't going to run out and buy Wii U for Wii Fit U.
Yeah, I think that they're going to probably really push it though, because the game needs to be advertised as a great standard, and as we said before, with with other games like Zumba Fitness, and for the 360 you have Nike Plus. Those are going to be really fighting each other for space. So we'll see if Nintendo's name as Wii Fit will get people to buy it.
And then Nintendo announced Sing.
Yeah, it's developed by Freestyle Games, which are oddly enough a developer of Activision. So I don't know how this turned out.
It essentially makes your Wii tablet and your Wii U gamepad into a karaoke machine.
Yeah, you stare at you see the lyrics, and you can sing facing the people instead of the screen.
It's like a karaoke machine.
And they get to see a dancing move from the person, and I guess supposedly they're supposed to mimic the dancing while you sing to make it more of a full experience. I do not know how that works. There's apparently a single player mode where you get ranked based on your singing abilities, so you got that, but I think that they really
there's so many other karaoke games. This is really not a big announcement at all.
Yeah, the game was. I wouldn't be surprised if the game was really cheap to make, to be honest.
Now, this next thing was actually surprising, because they said they were just going to focus solely on the Wii U.
I think maybe we should hold those three games.
Well, I just want to say that what was the guy's name?
Scott Moffin.
Scott Moffin came out, and he pretty much said, I only have like 2 minutes to tell you about this stuff. He showed us some quick trailers. They weren't even full trailers of these 3DS games Nintendo's working on. And says, okay, now if you want to see more about these games, please come watch our second conference on Wednesday.
Technically we have more than you think. So
all right,
we'll skip those and get to those.
And later. It was kind of weird, because they really should just not have them, but they wanted to have them because it's a conference.
Yeah. I mean, we saw what happened with Sony's conference when people look what we did. We just said that Sony didn't have anything for the Vita when they have stuff on the show floor, but they didn't show anything, so that was necessary to get people's attention.
Now we get back onto Wii U with Lego City Undercover.
Yes, Lego City Undercover looks a lot better than some people might have expected.
It basically is an open world adventure game similar to Grand Theft Auto, and you're playing as a cop. I forget it. Kane is Mr. Kane. I think his name is.
I don't know.
And pretty much you run around using special visor and stuff, using the Wii gamepad. You hunt down criminals, and you're trying to stop an evil villain.
Yeah, the graphics look pretty smooth.
The voice acting's nice.
There is some tearing, and it was apparently one of the glitchier games at the show. But this is Traveler's Tales who are making it, which probably explains why Warner Brothers was helping Nintendo so much, because they're the owners of Traveler's Tales. But the game looks good. There's a lot of open-endedness to it. There's battles. There's good textures here and there. There's good use of the Wii U gamepad. It looks fun. And it's definitely something to pay attention to.
And for the 3DS also.
Yeah. And Nintendo's publishing it, which is odd. But, hey, it definitely shows up.
It's more of a family-friendly Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, and people were, hating on Lego City Stories, but I was looking interested in that from the get-go. And it's justified.
Speaking of Just Dance 4.
Yeah, so Ubisoft... So first of all, there's Ubisoft's president, Yves, came up, and... There was the most awkward communication there, because I think he may have forgotten what he was supposed to say, and so kind of what happens that Reggie kind of coaxed him to say thank you to him or something like that. It was an awkward intro to the Ubisoft.
And then, so Just Dance 4 was showcased here, but the big thing they wanted to show was that using the tablet, it's called Puppet Mode, where the person holding the gamepad can actually tell people how to dance.
And pose and whatnot. It sounds like a fun idea. I don't know if people are going to use it in Just Dance 4, seeing as you can get it from every other system, but...
If you're planning on getting a Wii U, I guess it would be a fun little
people
thing.
Complaining about this demo, though, need to realize that the demo was only about 3 minutes in length. The only issue was that it was the only hands-on demo that was shown at the conference.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they should have fixed that by having more hands-on conference stuff.
And then next was Zombiu.
Yeah.
Now they mentioned this at the Ubisoft conference, but they actually showcased it here.
Yeah.
They actually showed trailers and gameplay footage.
No, granted, I think it was it was not full actual graphics. I think it was still CG.
But apparently,
it looks pretty close to that. concept is very good and very intriguing.
One of the things we saw was that basically you get a bunch of... It's a survival game. This is like what Resident Evil should be. You basically have a bunch of supplies on you, go and try to do missions, and if you die, your character becomes a zombie and has your stuff. So and when you play as a new character, because you perma-die in this game, you play as a new character, you go into that area, your zombie self might be there. And you kill them, you can get your stuff back.
So you can keep on evolving as a character and getting more and more stuff over the course of the time. Essentially, it makes it a roguelike. But I don't know how long the game is. There's people don't know how long the game is. And that could be a concern. Also, like, is it linear or is it more open-ended? We don't know.
A lot of scary moments. A lot of the videos I saw, all of a sudden you'd be doing something else, oh, God.
Yeah,
just to scare the crap out of you. And I think that's what they really want to do in this game. They really want to scare you.
It's high intensity, and there's even an asynchronous multiplayer where one person plays the game using the Wii U Pro Pad, playing the game like a normal game, whereas the other person plays as the evil zombie conjurer and sends zombies in particular locations. So that looks cool. It's really intriguing of a game.
And it definitely jumped on people's lists of must-want.
Yeah, must-want. And then after that comes the last game for the Wii U. Now, this was a surprise to a degree because it was never announced ever before.
But we kind of got the feeling
it was
like a Wii U Play or whatever.
Yeah, we had suspected as much. And the game is called Nintendo Land.
Yeah, it's essentially a theme park where you basically go to different attractions that represent different Nintendo franchises. Not all the franchises. There's actually some of the big ones aren't even there, which is quite surprising.
Well, the big ones would probably overshadow it. My guess is they actually developed like about 15 to 16.
And they picked the 12.
And they picked the 12 best ones.
And this is the same people made Wii Sports Resort, and definitely has that similar feel. You play as Mii's, and they wear special costumes of each of the characters when they enter the areas. There were 3 on show.
5
on show. There was a Donkey Kong game where you had
there's Donkey Kong. There was
you basically tilt the direction of this little cart moving on like an obstacle course, and if you go too fast, you'll die. And and on the big screen, you see the whole map, and you're trying to work at where you're limited here. Your friends can point out, oh, watch out, don't go too fast there.
Then there was a game from Takamaru, which is a franchise that's kind of, I don't know why they even had it.
It's an old NES game of a ninja, and you actually have a ninja star on the touch screen, and you slide it onto the main screen, and you tack a little origami ninjas.
And that's multiple stages. And then you have a Legend of Zelda game where
everyone's just in like felt.
and multiple people if you want.
Yeah, well, the person with the gamepad is like an archer. Well, the people with the Wiimote and nunchuck actually are sword slashers, and they fight off moblins and go to dungeons and stuff.
And with different bosses and whatnot. And then there was also a game called Animal Crossing Sweet Days,
which pretty much the person with the pad uses the joysticks to move the 2 guards around, while their characters run around on the main screen trying to eat all the sweet candies off trees.
Yeah, and you get slower the more candies you get. So you actually have to pay attention to how they're moving. And of course, the people who with the gamepads are like, well, I'm playing 2 players at once. This is weird. But there you go. And then because you have to play with 5 players. So, and what was the last one?
Luigi's Mansion.
Luigi's Ghost Mansion.
He's good. That's alright.
That game essentially is a variant of Pac-Man Versus.
Except the ghost is the better advantage here.
Yeah, the players have flashlights that can kill the ghost. Starts at 100 and goes down to 0. But they have battery time limit before the battery dies. And also, if they get caught from behind, they get scared and pass out.
And which you can use the lights to revive, and you only see the ghost with vibrations on your controllers. So if he's come behind you, you have to feel closely to your vibrations because you don't know he might be sneaking behind you.
Not good vibrations. This was the biggest issue of all of this. Now we've described to you 5 games. These were the 5 games that were at the show. Did I mention at all that this was actually shown at the conference? No. Instead, the producer, Eguchi, who helped make the game, the whole console, he actually produced this game and actually went in the description of a play-by-play of Luigi's Ghost Mansion.
And literally, it wasn't even a video. It was barely a video. It was every few seconds he'd stop and say, "You see this? That's important." And he would do it for he did it for 10 minutes solid, and it drained the fun out of it. This is the kind of game that you need to show people, not demonstrate it. You don't tell us, you show it. And they sadly told us about it.
We were watching with other people, and we could feel the hype of the entire event suck out by then. People may have just, if they ended it with Zombiu, they would have been pretty good. If it would have ended pretty well because Zombiu was people were getting hyped about. But Nintendo Land, despite how good it may actually be, apparently positive reactions all around for people who play it, with the exception of maybe a couple people, there's been actually very positive reaction to it from the press who've played it. But when you watched it, it was just drained. And after this was the end, by the way. There was no new announcements. There was no one more thing. This was it. This was the end of their conference for
All right, and see you later. Apparently there was a game that was actually announced on GT.
Oh yeah,
on Spike TV. It was
Project P100,
but it was exclusively going to be announced on there, so that's why they didn't have it at the conference.
Yeah, the game is being developed by Platinum Games, and essentially you play as a
superhero.
You
gathers people like citizens, and you become weapons like giant fists, swords.
Yeah. Now, mind you, we're only talking about the press conferences.
Well, this was kind of
but might as well have been. But at the same time, it wasn't. It was just announced right afterwards. Okay. But that was probably, if that were at the show floor, it would be great. If that was at the show, the actual conference, it would have been a lot better just for that. Now, this is actually going to probably be the longest video simply because we have the most thing, because they actually did 2 hours worth of discussion here because they had a 3DS software showcase.
Yes.
With almost no major new announcements.
No announcements. They didn't even have like Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Anyways, they started the event with
Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, Mirrors of Fate.
Yes, this is a side-scroller game, side-scroller 2.5D game by Mercury Steam again.
Yep.
This game is basically a prequel to the second game. It's basically between 1 and 2 of Lords of Shadow. It's a side-scroller. You explore, you fight. It's basically like it's like the old 2D game, Metroidvania games. In Castlevania, except
more emphasis on that.
More emphasis in combat and less on gaining stats and finding loot. So you'll be exploring, getting new. You do gain levels, but it gives you new combos and stuff. But the game's more focused on exploring and taking down your opponent.
Yeah, it looked really good when they showed it off. They didn't really have it demonstrated, but the guy who was speaking from Konami, he was actually speaking in time to the trailer being played, and that made it really
awkward because he kept going too fast.
Well, no, I think he did a really good job though. I think it was much better than just having no information being shown there.
Then they had
after that Luigi's Mansion.
Yes,
Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, to be more precise.
Yes, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is Luigi's Mansion 2 renamed. They showed a trailer off for it. Yep. Luigi walks basically it's Luigi's Mansion 2.
Yep. There's a lot more emphasis on him being scared to hell and back.
Yes, apparently previews say that there's a lot of scary scenes where he just gets freaked out, and even in the trailer you saw like a bear go roar, and he's like ah.
Yeah, so there's actually 3 different scenarios that were shown. There's the normal one.
Well, not at the conference.
In the conference, there was only just the one. The trailer looked nice. The frame rate issues of when it was first shown off last year have been fixed up to an extent. I think it'll probably never get fully fixed, but it won't be terrible.
It looks fun, and that's what you'd expect.
Yeah,
from it.
And it looks really good. Great modeling going on, and and the locations are very unique. I like the premise of multiple mansions. Definitely a good way to go.
And then you made a joke about now
conjuring up another
Spectre,
War Inspector.
He talked about Epic Mickey Power of Illusion.
Yes, Power of Illusion is essentially going to be a side-scrolling action game
similar to the Castle of Illusion.
Yeah, developed by DreamWorks Games. The idea is that essentially you're trying to
you're in the
Castle of Illusion
wastelands. It was forgotten, and it was in the Forgotten Waste.
Yeah, and the evil sorceress witch of the power of the Castle of Illusion has appeared in Wasteland with the Castle of Illusion and has actually taken a number of unforgotten characters hostage. And now it's up to Mickey
to save them before they get their hearts stolen from them.
Now the game has moments where you have to actually have to fill in or thin out particular items so that you can pass through and create weapons.
It's nowhere near as on the fly as the console versions of Epic Mickey, but it's definitely still incorporated and still fun to use. It definitely looks like they took a lot from the
game. Looks like an old school an old school game. I think there's some issues. I think it might be a little too slow at some points. There's some issues where you can see it's like it's a little bit janky here, but at the same time, the game looks like it could be good. And so I'm hoping that it's going to be a really good game. It looks good. It's got a lot of potential. The question is, can it match that potential when it comes out?
Especially when compared to Castle Illusion and stuff like that. Then they went on to. They brought up
Paper Mario
Sticker Star. This is an the first Paper Mario game.
Three threes. It's finally done.
This is the first Paper Mario game on the home on a handheld. Big thing about it is stickers, obviously, because it's in the title. Basically, you put sticker. Everything you do, your attacks are stickers. If you don't have a sticker, you can't attack. Your actions are use stickers. You attack enemies. Still the same action-based thing. You push the attack button at the right time, you do more damage. Mm-hmm. There are stickers in the environment. There are stickers. There's like duct tape holding things in place. When you pull it out, a scene pops up. Or you find items from the real world, like a fan, and you throw it against a wall. It turns into a sticker, and then you can use that to activate something.
Yeah, it's very unique puzzle solving, and on top of that, you don't gain levels in the same way. You gain stickers, which can help you out, and to top it off, you gain levels and extra stats by doing side missions.
Yeah, and in the scene they showed, they put you took like fire flower stickers and you flatten them onto this blown away garden, and flowers bloom, and the guy goes, "Thank you so much," and he gives you 5 extra hit points. And this might be a cool idea because now all of a sudden your side quests actually improve your stats.
Yeah, and there's also a factor in the actual fight. Since you don't have a helper, you can use an ability to give you more attacks per turn, which will be necessary for fighting against perhaps bigger enemies
and bosses. My concern is that maybe the game will be able to have some linearity to it.
Yeah.
Because during the trailer, there was a spot where it says, "You goal!" and it reminded me a lot of Super Paper Mario, where there was the chapters were broken up.
Yeah. But the game looked good. The guy who presented it, Nate, for the first time, he had some pretty good elements to him. He's definitely new to presentations, but he did a pretty good job keeping up the spirits.
And then next they went to Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. Again,
I can't really comment much on it.
Trailer comes out next month.
Yeah, there's a demo coming out for it. Enjoy it when it does. The game is probably the most advanced Kingdom Hearts game, but at the same time, it's just as crazy as ever.
And then they went on to talk about the eShop. They talked about that Pokemon Black and White, Black 2 and White 2 are coming out. They didn't show a trailer for it, which is kind of surprising.
But they did talk about Pokemon Dream Radar and Pokemon Pokédex 3D Pro,
and they also
both coming out in the fall.
They also went on about how Pokemon Nintendo Video is working out, how successful the eShop is.
Yeah, the eShop.
And then there's a new thing called 3D Idiots. 3D Idiots.
Which I don't even know if are they actually the ones behind making that game.
I have no idea
that product, but that's up now, and they're planning to make more episodes over time. That was like the only brand new announcement they made. Oh, and of course they announced that there are 5 million downloaded games, but all 5 of them are free. So whatever that means.
And then the final game they wanted to talk about was New Super Mario Bros. 2. There was a montage showing us a bunch of third-party games. But
New Super Mario Bros. 2, its emphasis is on coins rather.
Gold.
Now the point that the game was about is that essentially you're trying to collect all these coins. Now Nate mentioned 1 million coins, and I'm guessing that's something you need to get.
But the big thing is there's a multiplayer, there's a Street Pass mode where you basically play 3 levels in the single player mode, and you collect as many coins as you can amongst those 3 levels and beat it in a certain time limit. And then you only have 1 life, and at the end of all of it, it counts up all your coins, and then it puts it as your score. And then if you Street Pass somebody, your coin count goes to their game. So when you're playing, you're like, oh, that guy he mentioned 4 coins more. It's like, oh, he's 4 coins more than me. How can he be? And try to get those more coins.
Yeah.
I really need to see more of the game. I'm interested in it, but there needs to be more involvement of why you need all the coins.
Yeah, and also there's actual local co-op. Yeah, so if you're next to each other, you can actually play a full game cooperatively. Hopefully, you can.
I'm not sure if it's multi-cart or not.
Yeah, we'll find out soon, won't we? The game is also the first game to be downloadable through the eShop.
Yes, you can buy it. You can either buy it at the store, buy it on the eShop, or even go to the store and buy a download code for it.
Yeah, and Luigi's Mansion they mentioned was also a downloadable game at some point.
But Mario would be the first.
But yeah, that would be the first. But Mario Bros. 2 would be the first. And right afterwards, they confirmed that Fire Emblem Awakening is coming out.
That was in the conference.
That was also a mistake too, apparently. But in the end, it comes down to this. After all of that, nothing new was announced.
Nope.
Absolutely. Okay, I was wrong. They confirmed Sing. That's a game we don't know about, and Nintendo Land is now a thing. And they also announced. They also fully announced Pikmin 3 and New Super Mario Bros. U. And all.
Essentially,
they fully announced games we already knew.
But this was all about 2012.
Yeah, and that might be the biggest issue. A lot of fans came in. If they had simply announced that this conference was going to or all our content is going to focus on 2012. At the very beginning, that would have culled a lot of our hype. It would have helped us hold back and be less crazy about them not announcing games. Because when you look at the list as you see it in front of us,
it's not a bad list.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that are coming out. They're like, yeah, that looks pretty good. I get that. But if we had known that was the case. If we didn't, because when 2006 happened, we got hyped from Mario Galaxy, and
that was coming out for another year.
Those come out for another year. If we had been told, that there was going to be no new 2013 announced games at all, that would have been nice. But instead, we got these games that are all coming out in 2012, and if that's 2012, that's nice.
Heck, if you might look at what the announcements, at the end of this E3, this 3DS conference, they said, "Oh, by the way, Fire Emblem is coming to America," but we'll talk more about that at a later date. That probably would have topped it off. Okay, yes, that's perfect.
I think the unfortunate thought about the idea behind this is that Nintendo views E3 not as hyping games beyond what's about to come out. Because they want the Wii U to sell so well this holiday season, they don't want people to simply say, I want the game in March because X is coming out. They want people to buy the Wii U because what's the lineup is
because Nintendo Land or Pikmin 3 is coming out.
They emphasized Nintendo Land way too much,
and they shouldn't have demonstrated it. Okay, what game on the list on both did you like, or pick one of both?
Well, I would say I liked what I saw for Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, and I also was really liking what I saw of. I would say Zombiu, but at the same time, Pikmin 3 is looking mighty fine as well.
For me,
New Super Mario Bros. U. I like Super Mario Bros. U.
For me, I'd go with Pikmin 3 because I love Pikmin. And I was going to say Luigi's Mansion, but you picked that. So Paper Mario Sticker Star is what I'd go with. As far as New Super Mario Bros. 2, I'm still kind of...
Yeah, we're also... Yeah. So all you Nintendo fans out there who are too busy being in a rage right now about how bad this conference is, please take some solace in knowing that this is only this year's games. There's plenty of games here, and 2013 they're probably going to start announcing Nintendo Directs or fall conferences or something to cover that year. But at the time being, besides, it's the end of the world. Why are we even talking about 2013? The world ends at the end of the year, right?
Game over. It's game over.
It's game over. Enjoy your New Super Mario Brothers Wii U or whatever game it's called. So in regards to Bingo, we actually failed to get Bingo.
There's a lot of the games we thought they were going to showcase, they didn't.
Yeah, even including announcements that were not really at any actual particular event. We actually we missed one thing, and that's a Zelda game. If we had gotten a new Zelda, we would have gotten a Bingo. And
collectively,
also any mention of Animal Crossing or a Good Feel game would have also given us a Bingo.
No retro.
There was no mention of retro in any way, shape, or form. No Monolith Soft. In fact, people were asking where the first-party games were. Well, the answer is Pikmin 3, Nintendo Land, and Wii Fit U. But people don't seem to...
And New Mario Bros.
New Super Mario Bros. U. So,
anyways, that's Nintendo's conference.
And that covers all conferences. We will have a video, not now, but at
the end of E3.
At the end of E3, when we give our full final impressions as to what our favorite games were there, as well as our rundown of our actual predictions, and see just how bad we were.
Yep.
So...